The Sea of Galilee is a place of beauty and tranquility, surrounded by rolling hills and bustling villages. On this particular evening, the sun was sinking low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The gentle sound of lapping waves filled the air as fishing boats swayed gently in the calm water. Jesus had spent the day with the people, teaching about God's love, healing the sick, and comforting the weary. Crowds had gathered to listen, their faces filled with hope and wonder. As the day drew to a close, Jesus felt the weight of exhaustion from his ministry but also the peace that comes from serving others. Turning to his disciples, Jesus suggested crossing the lake. The disciples, accustomed to following his lead, prepared the boat. Their laughter and camaraderie filled the air as they pushed off the shore, the last light of day shimmering on the water. The boat was simple but sturdy, built for the work of fishermen. As it glided across the calm lake, the disciples chatted about the day's events, reflecting on the miracles they had witnessed. At the back of the boat, Jesus rested on a cushion, his eyes heavy with sleep. The rhythm of the water gently rocked him into slumber. As the boat moved farther from the shore, the air began to change. A soft breeze gave way to stronger gusts, rustling the trees along the shore and rippling the water. The disciples took notice, their laughter fading into cautious silence. Dark clouds gathered in the distance, rolling toward the boat with surprising speed. The vibrant colors of the sunset were replaced by the gray and black of an approaching storm. The disciples, many of whom were seasoned fishermen, recognized the signs of trouble. The wind howled louder, whipping through their hair and tugging at their clothes. The waves, once gentle and rhythmic, grew restless, crashing against the sides of the boat. Water splashed over the edges, soaking their sandals and belongings. The storm intensified, the rain pouring in heavy sheets. The sound of thunder rumbled across the lake, and flashes of lightning illuminated the frightened faces of the disciples. The boat rocked violently, tilting dangerously with each wave. Though some disciples worked frantically to keep the boat steady, their efforts seemed futile. Fear began to take hold, and the realization dawned that this was no ordinary storm. Through it all, Jesus remained asleep at the back of the boat, his face serene despite the chaos surrounding him. His disciples were at their wits' end. The storm had overwhelmed their skills and strength. Desperation filled their hearts as they turned to the one person who had always brought calm in every situation, Jesus. They approached him, their movements unsteady as the boat pitched and rolled. Looking down at his sleeping form, they were struck by the contrast. How could he rest so peacefully in the midst of such danger? The storm raged on, the wind and waves relentless. The disciples' panic was palpable. Yet, as they looked at Jesus, they began to hope that perhaps he could do something to save them. Jesus stirred, opening his eyes. He rose slowly, standing amid the chaos with a presence that commanded attention. His gaze swept over the stormy waters and the fear-stricken disciples. Without hesitation, he faced the storm, his hand raised in a gesture of authority. The wind stopped. The waves settled. The rain ceased. In an instant, the lake was calm. The silence was deafening after the noise and fury of the storm. The disciples sat in stunned silence, their hearts pounding as they took in the scene around them. The once raging storm had vanished, replaced by a stillness that seemed almost unreal. They looked at Jesus with a mix of awe and reverence. Who was this man who could command the very forces of nature? As the boat drifted peacefully on the glass-like water, the disciples began to reflect on what had just happened. They realized that their fear had overshadowed their faith. Jesus had been with them all along, yet in their panic, they had forgotten his power and love. The calm lake mirrored their own hearts, as a sense of peace replaced their earlier terror. This story isn't just about a storm on the Sea of Galilee. It's about the storms we face in life, moments of fear, uncertainty, and chaos that threaten to overwhelm us. We've all experienced times when the wind seemed too strong, the waves too high, and the rain too relentless. Maybe it's a difficult situation at work, a strained relationship, or a personal struggle. In those moments, it's easy to feel like we're sinking, like we're alone in the storm. But this story reminds us of a profound truth. Jesus is always in the boat with us. Even when he seems quiet or distant, he is present, ready to bring peace and calm. Faith doesn't mean the absence of storms. It means trusting that Jesus is bigger than the storm. It's about letting his peace fill our hearts, even when everything around us feels out of control. When we turn to him, we discover a calm that nothing else can provide, a peace that surpasses all understanding. If this story encouraged you, take a moment to reflect on the storms in your own life. Remember, no matter how strong the wind or how high the waves, Jesus is with you. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories of faith and hope. Thank you for watching, and remember, peace is always possible when Jesus is in your boat.